In the name of the divine, I, Solomon, humble monk and seeker of truth, bear witness to a revelation that has shaken the very foundations of my understanding. In my travels across the sacred lands of Gallia, I came upon a discovery that has forever altered the course of my journey and perhaps the destiny of our world. It was a day like any other when I stumbled upon a small, unassuming box nestled in the roots of an ancient tree. The box, to my astonishment, was crafted from a material I had never encountered before, a pure white bone, untouched by the ravages of time and weather. With trembling hands, I lifted the lid, and my eyes beheld a sight that stole the very breath from my lungs. Within the confines of the box lay a collection of crystals, each one pulsing with an inner light that seemed to dance and flicker with a life of its own. Drawn by an irresistible force, I reached out to touch the crystals, and in that moment, my mind was flooded with a rush of images and sensations that defied all explanation. As I held the crystal shards in my hands, fragments of a tale began to take shape in my mind, whispered in the voices of an ancient tongue that I had never heard before. And yet, through some divine providence, I found that I could understand every word, every nuance of the story that was unfolding before me. With each passing moment, my awe and wonder grew, as I witnessed the divine's hand at work in the creation of Gallia, the battles against the forces of darkness, and the triumphs and struggles of the faithful as they sought to build a new world from the ashes of the old. They whispered to me,
"In the celestial realm of Pax Dei, the divine, a benevolent goddess, watches over her creation with an all-seeing eye. She is the guardian of 11 worlds, each a gleaming jewel in the cosmic tapestry. At the heart of each world lies the Axis Mundi, a sacred pillar connecting the realms of spirit and matter. Radiating outward from this center are 4 major continents, vast land masses teeming with life and magic, and 5 minor continents, each with its own unique wonders: Demeter, Dagda, Fenrir, Hecate, Tyr, Danu, Cernunnos, Freya, Prometheus, Selene, and Morana. The 11 Redeemers stand as steadfast protectors of these worlds, each a shining beacon of the divine's power and love. They are her champions, imbued with a portion of her essence, tasked with maintaining the delicate balance between the forces of creation and destruction. As the divine prepares to welcome her new faithful, the humans, to the world of Gallia, she senses a great disturbance in the cosmic order. The 9 hells, ever jealous of her creation, seek to sow discord and chaos, their malevolent influence seeping through the cracks in the fabric of reality. The divine knows that the path ahead will be fraught with challenges, as she must not only guide her children to their new home, but also defend her realm against the encroaching darkness. Gallia, a world of verdant forests, shimmering lakes, and majestic mountains, awaits the arrival of the divine's children. The continent is divided into 5 provinces: Asien, Meri, Keris, Enis, and Lyonesse, each a sanctuary where the faithful can take root and flourish. As the divine prepares to weave her children into the tapestry of this new world, she knows that their journey will be one of discovery, growth, and, ultimately, spiritual awakening. The divine closes her eyes, her consciousness expanding to encompass the 11 worlds and the countless souls within them. She whispers a prayer, a celestial invocation that echoes through the cosmos, blessing her children and fortifying the boundaries of her realm against the encroaching darkness. With a final loving glance at Gallia, she sets the great work in motion, ready to guide her faithful on their path to enlightenment and harmony with the world around them.
As the divine cast her omniscient gaze upon the worlds, she beheld the intricate web of ley lines and nodes that formed the foundation of her creation. These ethereal pathways, pulsing with the lifeblood of magic, connected the realms of spirit and matter, allowing the divine's essence to flow freely throughout the cosmos. In preparation for the arrival of her faithful, the divine had woven new threads into the tapestry of each world, creating sanctuaries where her children could thrive and grow. These sanctuaries, like shimmering oases amidst the vast expanse of the cosmos, were tended to by the Redeemers, each a guardian of the delicate balance between the forces of creation and destruction. As the appointed hour drew near, the divine sensed a growing anticipation among the celestial host. The Redeemers stood ready at their posts, their essence intertwined with the very fabric of the worlds they protected. In Gallia, Demeter, the guardian of the continent, whispered words of encouragement to the land itself, urging it to welcome the faithful with open arms. The divine's celestial messengers, winged beings of light and song, flitted between the worlds, carrying her blessings and instructions to the far reaches of her realm. They spoke of the coming of the faithful, of the great journey that would lead them to their new home, and of the challenges that lay ahead. As the final preparations were made, the divine allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. She knew that the path her children would tread would be one of trials and tribulations, for the forces of the 9 hells were ever present, seeking to corrupt and destroy all that she had created. Yet, in her infinite wisdom, she also knew that it was through adversity that her children would grow stronger, their spirits tempered by the fires of experience. With a final loving glance at the 11 worlds, the divine breathed life into the celestial gateways that would guide her children to their new home. As the gateways shimmered to life, the divine felt a surge of pride and love for her faithful, knowing that they would face the challenges ahead with courage and determination. And so, as the first of the faithful stepped through the gateways, the divine watched with a mixture of joy and trepidation, ready to guide and protect her children as they embarked upon their great journey of discovery and spiritual awakening.
As the faithful began to pour through the celestial gateways, the divine felt a ripple of unease spread through the cosmic tapestry. The influx of new souls, each a spark of the divine's own essence, sent shockwaves through the delicate balance of the worlds, causing the ley lines to tremble and the nodes to flare with unexpected intensity. In the provinces of Gallia, Demeter watched with growing concern as the land itself seemed to buckle under the weight of the new arrivals. The once pristine forests and meadows were suddenly teeming with all manner of creatures, both natural and supernatural, as if the very presence of the faithful had awakened something deep within the world's core. The divine, her attention drawn to the disturbance, cast her gaze upon the affected regions and saw that the sudden surge of life had created an imbalance in the natural order. The creatures, both great and small, were multiplying at an alarming rate, their numbers far exceeding what the land could sustain. As the faithful began to establish their settlements, they too felt the effects of the growing chaos. The land seemed to resist their efforts to build and cultivate, as if the very earth itself was pushing back against their presence. Whispers of unease began to circulate among the people, as they struggled to make sense of the strange phenomena that plagued their new home. The divine, her heart heavy with concern, reached out to her celestial messengers, seeking their counsel and guidance. The messengers, their eyes filled with a knowing sadness, spoke of the influence of the 9 hells, of the dark forces that sought to capitalize on the chaos and uncertainty that gripped the land. Through the ethereal channels of the cosmos, the divine could hear the prayers of her faithful, their voices tinged with fear and desperation as they called out for her aid. She felt their pain as if it were her own, and knew that she must act swiftly to restore balance to the world of Gallia. Gathering her strength, the divine began to weave a new pattern into the cosmic tapestry, a design that would reinforce the boundaries between the realms and strengthen the ley lines that held the world together. As she worked, she whispered words of comfort and encouragement to her children, urging them to hold fast to their faith and to trust in the wisdom of the Redeemers who watched over them. And so, as the tide of chaos continued to rise, the divine and her celestial host worked tirelessly to stem the flow, knowing that the fate of Gallia and its people hung in the balance. The road ahead would be long and arduous, but the divine knew that, with the strength of her love and the courage of her faithful, they would prevail against the darkness that sought to consume them.
As the divine labored to restore balance to the world of Gallia, her mind drifted back to a time long past, when a similar crisis had threatened to unravel the very fabric of her creation. The memories, etched into the celestial annals of history, came flooding back with startling clarity. In a world not unlike Gallia, a plague of feral hares had descended upon the land, their numbers multiplying at an alarming rate. The creatures, once a symbol of fertility and abundance, had become a scourge, devouring crops and laying waste to entire villages. The people, desperate and afraid, had cried out to the divine for deliverance. The divine, her heart heavy with sorrow, had watched as the world teetered on the brink of collapse. She had seen the suffering of her children, felt their despair as if it were her own. In that moment, she had realized that the plague was not a natural occurrence, but rather the work of a malevolent force, a dark entity that sought to sow chaos and destruction in her realm. With a heavy heart, the divine had unleashed her power upon the world, a cleansing fire that had swept across the land, purging it of the corrupted creatures that threatened to consume it. The people had watched in awe as the divine's light had pierced the darkness, driving back the forces of the nine hells and restoring balance to the world. Now, as the divine looked upon the growing crisis in Gallia, she saw the echoes of that long-ago struggle. The surge of creatures, the resistance of the land, the whispers of unease among her faithful, all pointed to the influence of a dark power, a force that sought to unravel the very threads of her creation. The divine knew that she could not allow history to repeat itself. She would not stand idle as her children suffered, as the world she had created was torn asunder by the machinations of the nine hells. With a fierce determination, she redoubled her efforts to restore balance to Gallia, pouring her essence into the ley lines and nodes that held the world together. As she worked, the divine called upon the wisdom of the past, drawing strength from the lessons learned in that long-ago struggle. She knew that the path ahead would be difficult, that the forces arrayed against her were powerful and cunning. But she also knew that, with the love of her children and the courage of her celestial host, there was no obstacle that could not be overcome. And so, as the memories of the plague faded into the mists of time, the divine pressed on, her resolve unwavering in the face of the growing darkness. She would not rest until balance was restored, until her children could once again walk in the light of her love, secure in the knowledge that their world was safe and whole.
As the chaos continued to spread across Gallia, the divine knew that she must act quickly to prevent the world from falling into irreparable ruin. With each passing moment, the influence of the nine hells grew stronger, their dark tendrils snaking through the ley lines and nodes, corrupting the very essence of the world. In a moment of divine inspiration, the divine hit upon a temporary solution, a way to stem the tide of destruction and buy herself and her celestial host precious time. She would create a series of celestial wards, powerful enchantments that would reinforce the boundaries between the realms and strengthen the fabric of the world. The divine set to work immediately, weaving the wards into the cosmic tapestry with a deftness born of eons of experience. Each ward was a masterpiece of celestial craftsmanship, a shimmering web of light and energy that pulsed with the power of the divine's own essence. As the wards began to take effect, the divine could sense a subtle shift in the balance of the world. The surging tide of creatures began to slow. The land's resistance to the faithful's efforts began to ease. It was a small victory, but one that gave the divine and her children a glimmer of hope in the face of the encroaching darkness. But the divine knew that the wards were only a temporary measure, a stopgap solution that would not hold back the forces of the nine hells indefinitely. She must find a way to address the root of the problem, to purge the corruption from the very heart of Gallia. With a sense of urgency that bordered on desperation, the divine called upon her celestial host, tasking them with scouring the world for any sign of the dark entity that had orchestrated the chaos. The Redeemers, their essence attuned to the ebb and flow of the world's energies, set out to explore the far reaches of Gallia, seeking any clue that might lead them to their enemy. As the Redeemers searched, the divine continued to pour her essence into the wards, strengthening them against the relentless onslaught of the nine hells. She whispered prayers of protection and guidance to her faithful, urging them to hold fast to their faith and to trust in the wisdom of the celestial host. The race against time had begun, and the divine knew that the fate of Gallia and its people hung in the balance. With each passing moment, the dark forces grew stronger, their influence spreading like a cancer through the world's core. But the divine would not yield, would not allow her creation to be consumed by the darkness. And so, as the celestial host searched and the divine labored, the people of Gallia held their breath, knowing that the future of their world would be decided in the crucible of this divine struggle. They could only pray that the divine's love and the courage of her champions would be enough to lead them through the darkness and into the light of a new dawn.
As the divine and her celestial host labored to restore balance to the world of Gallia, a new crisis emerged, one that threatened to undermine the very foundations of the faithful's endeavors. Reports began to flood in from across the land, carried on the ethereal winds of the cosmos, each one a tale of frustration and despair. The faithful, their hearts filled with hope and determination, had begun to lay the foundations of their new lives in Gallia, building homes and temples, farms and workshops. But now, as they struggled to place the very blocks of their existence, they found themselves thwarted at every turn, their efforts seemingly in vain. The divine, her heart heavy with concern, cast her gaze upon the affected regions and saw a world in turmoil. The once solid foundations of the land seemed to shift and blur, as if the very fabric of reality was being pulled apart at the seams. Blocks of stone and wood, so carefully hewn and placed, vanished into the ether, leaving behind only the bitter taste of wasted effort and dashed hopes. As the divine probed deeper into the mystery, she began to sense the workings of a dark and malevolent force, a presence that seemed to delight in the suffering of her children. The nine hells, ever eager to sow discord and despair, had found a new avenue for their machinations, a weakness in the very structure of the world itself. With growing horror, the divine realized that the source of the problem lay in the intricate web of celestial algorithms that governed the placement and persistence of matter in the mortal realm. A dark entity, its essence woven into the fabric of the universe, had managed to disrupt the delicate balance of these algorithms, causing the building blocks of the faithful's existence to vanish and reappear at random. The divine knew that she must act quickly to address this new threat, to restore the proper functioning of the celestial algorithms and put an end to the faithful's suffering. But the task would not be an easy one, for the dark entity had hidden itself deep within the labyrinthine structure of the universe, its tendrils of influence spreading like a cancer through the very heart of creation. Gathering her strength and her resolve, the divine began to trace the dark entity's essence back to its source, following the twisted strands of its being through the vast expanse of the cosmos. It was a journey fraught with peril, for the entity's power grew stronger the closer the divine came to its lair, its malevolent presence threatening to overwhelm even her divine essence. But the divine would not be deterred. With a fierce determination born of an unshakable love for her children, she pressed on, her celestial light piercing the darkness and illuminating the path to victory. And at last, after what seemed an eternity of struggle and sacrifice, the divine found herself face to face with the dark entity itself, a twisted and malevolent being that had no place in the realms of light and love. In a battle that shook the very foundations of the universe, the divine unleashed the full might of her celestial power, driving the dark entity back into the abyss from whence it had come. And with its defeat, the celestial algorithms that governed the world of Gallia were restored to their proper function, the building blocks of the faithful's existence once again solid and true. The crisis had been averted, but the divine knew that the struggle against the forces of darkness was far from over. The 9 hells would not rest until they had claimed Gallia for their own, and the faithful must remain ever vigilant if they were to protect their new home from the insidious influence of evil. But for now at least, the faithful could once again build and create, their hearts filled with the hope and determination that would carry them through the trials to come.
As the divine stood victorious over the dark entity that had threatened the very foundations of Gallia, she felt a sense of relief wash over her celestial being. The building blocks of her children's existence had been restored, and the faithful could once again continue their work of creating a new home in this strange and wondrous land. But even as the divine savored this moment of triumph, she knew that the true test of her wisdom and patience was yet to come. For in the aftermath of the great battle, the celestial strings that governed the world of Gallia had been left in a state of disarray, their delicate balance disrupted by the dark entity's malevolent influence. The divine knew that she could simply wave her hand and restore the strings to their proper function, erasing the damage done by the dark entity in an instant. But something stayed her hand, a whisper of intuition that told her that such a course of action would be unwise. For the divine understood that the true strength of her children lay not in their ability to build and create, but in their capacity for growth and learning. If she were to simply erase the consequences of the dark entity's actions, she would be denying her children the opportunity to learn from their struggles, to grow in wisdom and understanding. And so, with a heavy heart, the divine made the difficult decision to allow the celestial strings to heal themselves, to slowly and gradually restore their own balance and harmony. She knew that this would mean a period of continued hardship for her children, as they struggled to adapt to a world that seemed to shift and change beneath their feet. But the divine also knew that this hardship would be a crucible for growth, a chance for her children to develop the strength and resilience that would serve them well in the trials to come. For in the face of adversity, the faithful would learn to rely on each other, to build bonds of community and trust that would see them through even the darkest of times. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the divine watched with pride as her children adapted to their new reality. They learned to build with patience and care, to imbue each block and stone with the love and devotion of their hearts. And slowly but surely, the world of Gallia began to heal, the celestial strings knitting themselves back together under the gentle guidance of the divine's wisdom. Through it all, the divine remained a constant presence, a guiding light that illuminated the path forward for her children. She whispered words of encouragement and wisdom, reminding them that even the darkest of trials could be overcome with faith and perseverance. And as the faithful emerged from this time of hardship, they did so with a newfound strength and unity, their bonds of love and trust forged in the fires of adversity. They had learned the true value of patience and wisdom, and they stood ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring. For the Divine knew that the path ahead would be long and difficult, that the forces of darkness would not rest until they had claimed Gallia for their own. But she also knew that her children had the strength and the wisdom to prevail, to build a new world of light and love in the face of even the greatest of odds. And so, with a heart full of pride and love, the Divine watched as her children continued their journey, secure in the knowledge that they would never walk alone, for she would always be with them, a guiding light in the darkness, a source of strength and wisdom in the face of all that lay ahead.
As the continent of Gallia slowly healed from the wounds inflicted by the dark entity, the Divine turned her attention to the pressing matter of the wild fauna that had run rampant across the land. These creatures, once a vital part of the delicate balance of Gallia's ecosystems, had been twisted and corrupted by the forces of darkness, their numbers swelling to unsustainable levels. The Divine knew that she must act quickly to address this new threat, to restore balance to the world and ensure the safety of her children. And so, with a fierce determination, she set to work, pouring her celestial power into the creation of a divine ley line restoration that would address the root of the problem. This ley line restoration was a work of divine artistry, a masterpiece of celestial coding that would rewrite the very laws of nature in Gallia. It would restore the delicate balance of predator and prey, of life and death that had been disrupted by the dark entity's malevolent influence. As the Divine worked, she could feel the eyes of her celestial host upon her, watching in awe as she wove strands of divine power into the fabric of the universe. Each new celestial string was a prayer, a sacred invocation that called upon the forces of light and love to heal the wounds of the world. And when at last the ley line restoration was complete, the Divine unleashed it upon the 5 virgin lands of Gallia with a triumphant cry. The effect was immediate and profound, as the twisted and corrupted wild fauna that had once plagued the land were suddenly restored to their proper place in the natural order. Across the vast expanse of Gallia, the faithful watched in wonder as the world around them shifted and changed, as the wild fauna that had once threatened their very existence suddenly became a vital part of the ecosystem once more. The forests and fields, once overrun with twisted and malevolent creatures, were now teeming with life and vitality, a testament to the power of the Divine's love and wisdom. As the faithful emerged from their places of safety, they did so with a newfound appreciation for the delicate balance of the world around them. They saw now how even the smallest of creatures played a vital role in the great tapestry of life, and how the actions of one could have profound consequences for all. And as they set about the work of rebuilding their shattered world, the faithful did so with a renewed sense of purpose and unity. They knew that they were not alone, that the Divine and her celestial host were always watching over them, guiding them towards a brighter future. In the days and weeks that followed, the Divine continued to watch over her children, her heart swelling with pride as she saw them rise to meet each new challenge with courage and determination. And though the road ahead would be long and difficult, she knew that they would prevail, that the light of love and wisdom would always triumph over the darkness of ignorance and fear. For the Divine had faith in her children, in their strength and resilience, in their capacity for growth and change. And she knew that no matter what trials lay ahead, they would always have the power of her love and guidance to see them through. And so, as the continent of Gallia healed and flourished once more, the Divine smiled down upon her children, secure in the knowledge that they were ready for whatever challenges the future might bring. For they were her faithful, her beloved children, and nothing could ever shake her love and devotion to them.
As the divine looked out upon the continent of Gallia, she felt a sense of profound joy and satisfaction wash over her celestial being. The great battle had been won. The dark forces that had threatened to unravel the very fabric of creation had been vanquished, and her children, the faithful, had emerged from the crucible of adversity stronger and more united than ever before. But even as the divine savored this moment of triumph, she knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult. The 9 hells, ever present and ever watchful, would not rest until they had claimed Gallia for their own, and the faithful must remain vigilant if they were to protect their new home from the insidious influence of evil. And yet, as the divine cast her gaze upon the vast expanse of Gallia, she saw a world that was brimming with hope and potential. The faithful, their hearts filled with the light of love and wisdom, had already begun the work of rebuilding their shattered realm, of creating a new society founded on the principles of compassion, unity, and spiritual growth. In the rolling hills and verdant valleys of the land, the divine saw the seeds of a new civilization taking root, a civilization that would stand as a beacon of hope and inspiration to all who beheld it. She saw her children working together in harmony, their diverse talents and abilities woven together into a tapestry of incredible beauty and strength. And as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, the divine watched with pride as her children continued to grow and flourish, their connection to the land and to each other deepening with each passing moment. They faced each new challenge with courage and determination, secure in the knowledge that they were never alone, that the divine and her celestial host were always watching over them. Through the trials and tribulations of this new world, the faithful learned to trust in the wisdom of the divine, to seek guidance and strength from the spiritual realm whenever the path ahead seemed uncertain. They learned to embrace the power of community, to lift each other up in times of need, and to celebrate each other's triumphs with joy and gratitude. And as the divine looked out upon this world that she had created, she knew that her children would never forget the lessons they had learned, the wisdom they had gained through their struggles and their sacrifices. They would carry these lessons with them always, a sacred trust that would guide them through the ages to come. For the divine knew that the true strength of her children lay not in their ability to conquer and control, but in their capacity for love and compassion, for unity and understanding. And she knew that, as long as they held fast to these values, as long as they continued to walk the path of spiritual growth and enlightenment, they would always have the power to overcome any obstacle, to triumph over any darkness that sought to consume them. And so, as the sun set on another day in the realm of Gallia, the divine smiled down upon her children, her heart full of love and pride. For she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, her faithful would always have the strength and the wisdom to prevail, to build a new world of light and love that would endure for all eternity.
I saw the Redeemers, those celestial guardians who stood watch over the 11 worlds, their essence intertwined with the very fabric of creation. I saw the faithful, their hearts filled with the light of love and wisdom as they worked together to heal the wounds of their shattered world. And I saw the divine herself, a being of infinite compassion and power, guiding her children through the trials and tribulations of this new existence. As the final pieces of the tale fell into place, I found myself overcome with a profound sense of humility and gratitude. To have been chosen as a witness to this sacred history, to have been granted a glimpse into the very heart of creation, it was a gift beyond all measure. And so, with a heart full of reverence and awe, I set down the crystal shards and resolved to share this tale with all who would listen. For in the story of Gallia and its people, I had found a testament to the enduring power of faith, of love, and of the unbreakable bond between the divine and her children. May the wisdom of these ancient crystals guide us all on our journey, and may the light of the divine forever illuminate our path.